Imagine waking up tomorrow, walking down to the beach, and the water is completely gone. Not low tide, gone. You're looking out at miles of wet mud, with cargo ships and fishing boats stranded right where they were anchored. When the first satellite readings showed a drop in global sea levels, oceanographers flagged it as a system glitch. Water that covers 70% of the planet doesn't just disappear overnight without breaking a few laws of physics. But the data kept coming. Take a look at this view of New York City. Within a few weeks, the water level in this harbor plummeted, exposing the bedrock and concrete foundations holding up the bay. It wasn't an isolated event. Down in Australia, the Pacific Ocean retreated from the rocky cliffs of Sydney, leaving the coastline bone dry. Across the southern hemisphere, the story was exactly the same. In Rio de Janeiro, vast stretches of marine infrastructure, entire fishing fleets, and deep water ports were left sitting on open dirt. Climate models factor in evaporation and glacial freezing, but those processes keep the moisture trapped within Earth's atmosphere. This water wasn't in the clouds. Millions of tons of seawater were physically vacating the planet. The immediate result was a total gridlock of international trade. Without deep water channels, cargo ships couldn't move food, fuel, or medical supplies. The global supply chain stopped in its tracks. Then the weather systems broke down. This satellite view over the Atlantic shows massive hurricane systems that rely entirely on warm ocean surface water. As sea levels dropped, those thermal engines lost their fuel, and hurricane formation completely ceased. To figure out where the water was going, geologists ran a deep-sea satellite scan. This animated topographic map shows the Atlantic seafloor. Sensors sweeping the mid-ocean ridge detect a massive, localized depression. Looking closer, the edges come into focus. It isn't a jagged crater or collapsed sinkhole. It's a mathematically perfect circle, spanning thousands of kilometers. Geological forces create chaos, not perfect geometry. A structure with this level of symmetry points to a deliberate extraction. Something built this hole to drain the Atlantic. Fast forward a few months, and the remaining water had receded enough to expose the deepest parts of the ocean floor. Mountain ranges taller than the Alps and massive continental shelves saw sunlight for the first time. But the survey teams mapping this new dry land found things that didn't belong in natural topography. Buried under miles of sediment and dried mud were the outlines of sprawling city grids. Pushing past the silt revealed skyscraper-sized monoliths, networks of geometric roads, and vast artificial metallic plates lining the walls of the deepest trenches. Radiometric dating on the exposed metal gave impossible results. These structures were built hundreds of millions of years ago, long before the first dinosaurs walked the Earth, let alone early humans. We are watching our biosphere dry up, while standing in the ruins of an older, far more advanced civilization. We are not the primary architects of this planet. We just moved in after someone else built the foundations. To find out who built them, the Global Science Coalition deployed their most advanced deep-sea submarine. It navigated past the metallic ruins and dropped directly into the center of the Atlantic anomaly. The descent took hours. The vehicle passed the crust and entered a colossal vertical tunnel, easily large enough to swallow Mount Everest whole, with no bottom in sight. As the sub's floodlights hit the walls, the cameras captured something moving. The boundaries of the tunnel were lined with gigantic, interlocked metallic gears and shifting monolithic plates. The machine was still actively running. This animated cross-section of the Earth shows exactly what those gears are doing. They aren't destroying the water. They're acting as a planetary-scale pump, pulling massive volumes of seawater deep into the crust and accelerating it along a trajectory straight out into space. Earth's oceans were never a permanent geographic feature. They were cargo. We were living on top of an ancient cosmic water transport system, and the harvest had finally begun. At the exact same time the Atlantic pump engaged, deep space observatories detected a massive thermodynamic anomaly on a dead, rocky exoplanet thousands of light years away. Across the surface of that barren world, heavy atmospheric clouds began swirling into existence, dropping torrential rain that filled the empty craters with oceans. The exact volume of water missing from Earth was reappearing in another solar system. Back on Earth, as the final gallons of the Pacific drained into the abyss, the machinery locked into a resting position. Then it broadcasted a high-frequency, system-wide transmission that hijacked every receiver on the planet. Supercomputers ran the alien signal through language models, outputting a translation to the terminal screens. This planet has completed its cycle. Prepare for relocation. The machine didn't care about our survival, and it wasn't trying to destroy us. Earth was merely a temporary incubator, a single stop in an interstellar terraforming supply chain. For all of recorded history, we operated under the assumption that the vast blue expanse covering our globe belonged to us. But water might be a migratory entity. It travels from dead world to dead world, jump-starting temporary bursts of life, cultivating biospheres for millions of years before it's packed up and shipped to the next destination. Earth was never the final stop. We were just borrowing the water for a fraction of a timeline older than the stars themselves. So if you woke up tomorrow and the oceans were draining into the abyss, would you stay on a dying rock to search the hole for answers? Or would you abandon Earth while you still had the chance? Let me know in the comments by typing "search the hole" or "leave Earth." And if you want to uncover more cosmic mysteries, hit that subscribe button.